It has been a week of sharp contrast for me. I spent the majority of the week either celebrating my husband and I's 14th wedding anniversary. That's another story. And then the rest of the week with all of my fellow women sales pros in Atlanta, talking about how we grow our businesses, how we collaborate, how we refer each other, and how we lift each other up. And then coming home, I learned that one of my oldest friends is homeless and facing some real challenges. And I kept asking myself this question of, one, the choices that we make and how they impact us. And two, how sometimes helping people is actually becoming part of the problem when we enable the habits and choices that they've made because they don't feel the need for change. And as I'm sitting here and walking my dog, in the other contrast of hot Atlanta and southern Maine cold, I started thinking about that, the choices that we make, and at what point do we enable people and become part of the problem when we really just want to be able to help. Sales is life, isn't it? This led me to start thinking about when we hire salespeople and when we have to face the tough choice of, do we continue to develop and invest in this person? Will they actually be able to improve? Or are we actually doing them a disservice by keeping them in a place where it's not the best fit for them, where they're not going to get the kind of help they need and they're not in the kind of environment that they need to do that in? How do we make those decisions? Those really hard decisions? I'll let you know what I come up with. Okay, here's what I think I came up with. If you think about the laws of social influence, whereas the actions of group and attitudes of the whole become that of the individual, basically we rise to the lowest level of the people that we surround ourselves with. We almost have a responsibility to protect our team in making sure that, one, we're not hiring hires that aren't a good fit, and two, that we're keeping a level and standard of excellence in our teams where we are supporting each other to be better than we were before. But then you also have to think about the impact on the individual. Now, I know for myself personally, the last time I got fired before I started my business, it was the best and worst day of my life. It was the worst day because I got fired. How am I going to feed my family? We're in the middle of a recession. I have 2 mortgages. But then also, if I hadn't gotten fired, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I wouldn't have taken the step and the risk to start my own business. Sometimes I think it was a blessing that I got fired that day. And that's exactly how the team member that you have, who isn't exactly performing and working out and seems miserable, doesn't even realize yet. Sometimes we have to make those tough decisions, not just because of the good of the whole, but because of the good of the individual. And that's kind of how it works in our personal lives as well. When there's someone you truly care about, sometimes the hardest thing is to let them fail so that they can learn how to pick themselves back up again. Because you're not always going to be there to be able to save and rescue them. The other thing I thought is, these are hard decisions. How do we know if we're making the right ones? How do we know that it's not just our own biases that are feeding into these decisions? That's why it's important to use science and data in sales, but also in our relationships. Psychology helps us to understand not only how others think, but also how we think. And when we can confront and address our own biases and use data to help focus our decisions, not necessarily make them for us because we need the context, then we're doing a service to our team and to ourselves in making those hard decisions and making them fast. So as you go into the end of this year and you think about the hard decisions that you have to make, how are you confronting your own biases? And are you looking out for the whole team or the individual or the number on the spreadsheet? For more of these, share this newsletter with your friends, follow me on LinkedIn, and I also want to hear about the experiences that you have as a buyer, your best experiences, your worst experiences, and let's see what our sales community can learn from those experiences. So message me if you'd like to be a guest on the next Buyer First Ask Me Anything, where we can talk about that and help to make sales better. Until then, keep sharing, keep learning, and have fun out there.